Councilman Britt Moore. I'd like to welcome you to our Finance Committee meeting for September the 12th. And good to see everybody. Got a pretty full agenda, so we won't waste any time, and we will call Miss Angela Kirkwood up first, our Human Resources Department Director, and she'll open us up with item 2024-359.
Good afternoon, council members. This is the Cigna contract renewal period for us. So this is to renew the contract for Cigna Healthcare in the city of High Point for our city employees' health coverage for the plan year of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. The city of High Point offers health care coverage to its employees that includes medical and dental care products. The plan year, again, runs from January 1st through December 31st. And I have our broker here, Mark Browder, who's going to do a presentation to let you all know how the self-funded model has been trending for the city. And then I'll come back up and ask for my recommendation.
Thank you.
Did you have the presentation? I should have compared next year.
That's okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Sorry about that.
All right, that's all good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me again.
Welcome
Hope
back.
you're doing well. Thank you. And generally speaking, the message is good for this particular meeting. So as you remember, there was a transition from being fully insured to self-funded effective 1/1/24. Part of the strategy for that, one is the city had a strong reserve position to begin with, and it made it advantageous to make a change over to self-funding. The other piece of it is that the city would be able to retain certain revenue sources that Cigna was retaining for themselves, such as the rebates, which is actually working out really well for the city. Gives a lot more flexibility, gives you a lot of opportunity on the wellness side, and overall it's been a very good transition. So this particular slide, which has got a lot on it, there's just a couple of things I want to point out. In the blue box at the bottom, the plan overall is actually trending down compared to the prior year, but that's an immature number. That is, the claims for January and a little bit of February were being paid by Cigna in the fully insured contract on a run out. So it's positive, and the plan is fiscally positive, but it ultimately we'll see what it actually turns out to be when we get into the 1/1/25 plan year. Also at the bottom, you see in sort of the red or the pink, you'll see 66.93%. And that is the loss ratio. That is the reimbursements compared to the premium that you've paid to Cigna. Now, that looks like a low number. So essentially, for every dollar you paid, you've gotten 67 cents back. But with stop loss, and this is reimbursements for high claimants over $200,000, you typically see most of the reimbursements coming in the last half of the year. The way this is tracking right now, it looks like Cigna is going to be in a loss position. So from a value perspective for the current year, you're in a good position from a value consideration, but it does impact the renewal. We really won't know what the full measure is until the end of the contract year, but the way it's tracking is Cigna is going to be taking a hit. You'll see in the green box, this is the first rebate payment that you've had. Subsequent to getting the report, there's actually been a new payment of about $450,000. So you're on track for about $1.1 to $1.2 million. And it's actually reducing the fixed cost. Originally in the report you got, it was about 14%. It's actually down to about 10%, the way that it's tracking. We were conservative on the estimates, but it's really putting the plan in a very efficient position. So essentially what it's going to mean is for every dollar you spend on net administration, that makes up about only 10% of the total cost. So 90% of the cost is being paid through the claims side. So it's very efficient. And then finally, in the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see the fiscal position. So the plan is to the good, about $900,000 right now. So we're running well. We're running well for the plan year starting 1/1/25. We're also starting to project out the fiscal budget. So again, a lot of stuff on this page, but essentially the net effect is we're looking at about a 7% increase in funding for 1/1/25. So if you sort of think about it, we're 9 months, 10 months out from the fiscal year. There's a lot of trend assumptions that we're putting in this. If the plan continues to run well, then these numbers will come down. You weren't around 20 years ago when the city was self-funded and transitioned away because the plan, they didn't fund it correctly. As long as you keep putting small amounts of funding increase, you're going to be in a good position fiscally. So overall, the net effect is the current year's running well. We think it's going to be a pretty reasonable renewal for the fiscal year 25-26 as well. The purpose of me being here is this particular slide. So this is the original renewal we got from Cigna on the stop loss. There's no changes in anything else. The stop loss insurance is annually renewed. Was a pretty substantial increase. And part of that is these claims, these reimbursements that Cigna's getting today. That was negotiated down approximately about 7%. So there was an improvement in the negotiation process. Cigna came off of that renewal. We think with that adjustment that it was a good renewal. And again, the net effect is the city's, from efficiency standpoint, is 10% of your cost, net cost, and it's probably going to go lower than that, is just fixed costs alone. Plus, you've got good protections in the stop-loss contract. You've got no new laser, which means no high claimant. So if you end up with a hemophiliac or someone that's a significant ongoing claimant for the new contract year, they can't put a higher pooling point on that. And there's also a rate cap as well. So we feel good about the renewal. From a recommendation standpoint, after the negotiation that we did, we feel like the Cigna was a good renewal and it's one that the city should accept. Any questions of me at all?
Was Cigna the only one you negotiated with?
For this particular contract year, it is. For going into the 26 renewal contract period, there will be other carriers that we're going to discuss on the stop loss side. But from just the way the plan's running, the way it's trending, from also an overall plan administration perspective, it's a lot easier with an integrated stop loss solution. So we feel very good about it.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay. So council, this is a request for you to authorize the city manager to execute a 12-month contract with Cigna Healthcare for our healthcare services, and the contract would be effective January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025, and that the appropriate city official and/or employee be authorized to execute the necessary documents.
Angela, when is the sign-up period that the employees?
Our open enrollment, it will be like that first week in November. Yes. So at this point, and I believe in the handout that Mark had provided, there's no additional cost for our active employees, but we're still looking at other ways for us to account for savings. So we've got to look at everything, but the most important thing is to get the contract in place so that they can start on the process of getting the open enrollment materials together.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else from the committee? And I'll make a motion for approval of item 2024-359.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Next item is 2024-338, and we'll hear from Adam Ward, our IT Services Director.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Am I correct in assuming that this would be the motivations contract?
Correct.
Okay. 911 centers nationwide are facing a staffing crisis. High Point's no exception. In July, our center reached critical staffing levels. This item is a contract with Motivations Incorporated to provide 2 temporary staff. This specialized staffing service for 911 centers ensures continued public safety and service continuity by addressing critical staffing shortages in the 911 Communications Division. Bringing in temporary telecommunicators will reduce the burden on veteran staff, prevent burnout, and allow the city to maintain an effective emergency response. It's a cost-effective short-term solution that supports long-term recruitment and training of new permanent staff. The contract is for a period of 6 months with a not-to-exceed amount of $177,697.92. Funds are available in the fiscal year 24-25 budget. IT Services recommends that the vendor Motivations Incorporated be awarded the contract. We further recommend that City Council approve the contract and the appropriate city official be authorized to execute all documents. I'll be willing to answer any questions.
It says for 2 temporary positions. Obviously, this is a very important and technical role that has to be fulfilled. I guess my question is, obviously, there's shortages everywhere, it seems, that we turn in staffing, but in something of this nature, do these folks come in pre-trained?
Correct. All the individuals sent to us have already obtained their APCO and NENA certifications. We will also share with the temporary staffing agency, and before the telecommunicators are sent out, they are to be taken through our training program.
Okay, so they come to us with certifications, but there has to be some training for our specific 911 facilities.
Correct.
It's not a plug and play.
Correct.
Okay.
So-
And at the end of this, it says for a period of 6 months, is our hope that these folks may turn into full-time employees?
That is a possibility that we could, there's nothing in the contract that would prohibit us from hiring for Motivations. And in addition to that, we've already been able to fill 3 of the 7 positions that were down. We just will not be able to utilize those individuals for call taking and radio dispatch for a period of 6 to 9 months.
Okay. All right.
So these are supplementals until we get our full-time staff trained and up and ready.
Correct. It will allow for the CTOs, or the training officers in 911 telecommunications, to be able to work with those new telecommunicator trainees that we've onboarded. It will afford them that luxury. It will also help to reduce the amount of standby time that we're having to use to supplement every shift.
What's the recruiting look like? I know you said you had 7 openings. How long did it take you to fill the 3 that you filled?
We were able to do that in about a 2-month period.
So potential that you could fill the remaining 4 spots by the end of the year or first of next year?
Yes, and we're taking several steps towards that. Matter of fact, something that we've instituted this week. We've done a thorough pay study analysis of all surrounding 911 telecommunication centers that we have to compete with. We've now introduced a new starting rate and addressed the compression associated with that. And we're also coming up with ways to be able to advertise the non-monetary benefits that an employee would receive if they were to come to the city of High Point, to be able to advertise what distinguishes us here at the city of High Point against, say, a competitor like Guilford Metro.
Thank you.
I've got a question. You said for how many temporary staffing positions?
We would recruit 2 temporary staff members for a period of 6 months, and we do have the option to renew up to 24.
So that's $89,000 per employee for 6 months for, wow.
Part of that is going to be the logistics associated with and also insurance.
Okay. What if they don't work out? Is there any contract that says, in the contract, does it say that if those two temp people don't work out, that we don't have to pay the $177,000?
Correct. We can engage with Motivations, and we can request a new 911 telecommunications staff member.
But that wouldn't be a full refund.
You know,
I think that was her question.
I think her question was, if they don't work out, are we on the hook for the entirety of the contract price?
No, only up until the period where that
When
the
they-
individual was
when the
here.
individual left, all right. So essentially, we're still paying like an hourly rate of pay for them, but it's just kind of amalgamated into the full contract price. They would be paid bi-weekly with our, whatever our pay cycle is, they would be paid on the same pay cycle as our regular employees?
Correct.
And also, can I ask you,
Sure.
and so they're out of Colorado, is there no one local that offers that kind of service?
No, they are unique to the industry. Short of going to another temporary staffing agency that's got no specialization or understanding of APCO or NENA standards and the ability to be able to recruit for a 911 or to recruit a temporary staff member for a 911 dispatch center. Typically, a lot of their employees, and they're not contract workers for Motivations, they're actually Motivations employees. They are retired telecommunicators.
So have we had those positions open on our website?
Correct, we have.
And for how long? Do you know how long they've been open on our website?
We've had it on a continuous run since COVID.
Since 2020? Wow.
And during that time, that one position opening, or one posting, I should say, it has been for, I guess, a fluctuating number of positions throughout that time frame.
One more question, so sorry. So has the pay that we've been offering them for 4 years, does that compare to the pay that other municipalities offer 911 positions?
That was part of the corrective action we took this week.
What's the attrition been since last 4 years? How many have lost or had to replace?
That would be, Kyle, do you have any specific numbers?
I mean, you can just, if you can just send it to our email. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, guys, well, this is a necessity that we'll have to do, and I'll state for the record, and for anybody listening, this will not be the last effect we'll hear of COVID for years and years and years to come. I'll make a motion for approval of item 2024-338.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Next one is 2024-339, Adam.
Is that portable radios?
Motorola.
All right. This item is the annual replacement of aging portable radios for municipal departments. By enforcing an 8-year life cycle, we ensure operational efficiency, enhance safety and reliability, manage costs by reusing parts from retired radios, and support long-term planning by proactively replacing outdated devices with newer technology. Total price is $583,729.40. Purchase will occur under North Carolina Purchasing Contract 725G. Funds are available in fiscal year 24-25 budget. IT Services recommends the vendor Motorola Incorporated be awarded the contract. We further recommend City Council approve the contract and that the appropriate city official be authorized to execute all documents.
Any comments on this item?
Adam, you said this is annual, right?
Correct.
What would be the difference that you saw between last year's purchase and this year's purchase price?
This year's purchase price, matter of fact, there was a reduction, about $323. Yep, so it actually went down slightly.
I guess
Hey,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it still comes in at a price of $6,183 per radio. Part of that is the additional licensing required for us to be able to do communications with the FBI, for instance, or State Highway Patrol, Viper.
Yeah, I just think it's good for the public to understand the associated costs with items, that it's not just $6,000 for that item, it's also associated license fees and everything else that factors into the cost of that item.
Correct, and portable radios have become something by far more than just, land mobile radios. The newer APX 6000 series that just came out that I had the ability to be able to go and see at Motorola's Innovation Center in South Carolina. Not only do they combine land mobile radio, which provides high availability, lots of uptime, by far greater than a cellular network, but they are now incorporating cellular technologies. In addition to that, Wi-Fi. So if you've got a first responder who's out there in the field and something is disrupting that land mobile radio, now it has 2 more avenues to which to be able to communicate back to the dispatch center.
Thank you.
no further comments. I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-339.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Adam, the next one's consideration of contract with Graybar Incorporated. It's 2024-340.
Thank you. The item is a replacement of a 20-year-old battery backup unit at our primary radio tower site. Replacing the battery backup unit is essential for maintaining continuous operation during power outages, protecting critical infrastructure from power surges, and supporting public safety by ensuring reliable communication for first responders. By replacing the end-of-life unit, the city complies with industry standards and enhances the reliability of communication systems. This investment not only secures the functionality of the radio infrastructure, but also allows municipal departments to effectively respond to emergencies, ensuring operations remain uninterrupted during events that impact the electric grid. The total price is $135,764.71. Purchase will occur under the Omnia purchasing contract. Funds are available in fiscal year 24-25 budget. IT Services recommends that the vendor Graybar be awarded the contract. We further recommend that City Council approve the contract and that the appropriate city official be authorized to execute all documents.
Anything on this, guys? This is going to sound like a Britt Moore question, but it's going to be a Britt Moore question.
That's
How big
fine.
is a $135,000 battery?
That's correct.
How big is it?
This is a 60 kVA unit, so it will be enough to power the primary radio tower and the radio shop for a period of 1 hour. That does sound relatively brief, but the reason why it's sized that way is that there is a transfer switch and that the generator on site at the primary radio site should kick in.
Yeah.
And if it does not, then we've got the ability to be able to respond quickly to that emergent situation.
Well, I know, yeah, in the world we're in now, it's imperative to cover our electrical grid and our water resources, so, so I'm all for it, but I was just curious as to, not how powerful, I want to know how big it is.
How many tons?
Is it as big as this room? How big
as a Prius?
No, to give you, I guess, some frame of reference as to how big it would be roughly probably this row here, maybe about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seats in, probably about 3 rows deep.
It's big. It's big.
About $20,000 a chair. Well, thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-340.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Sir. Next, on our agenda, item 2024-356 is a consideration of contracts with Mimecast and Assistant IT Director Virginia Baskin.
Good afternoon, council
Good
members.
afternoon.
The item before you is our annual renewal for Mimecast. Mimecast enhances cybersecurity by protecting against various threats and ensures uninterrupted email communication, supports regulatory compliance through secure archiving, and reduces the risk of data breaches, and improves overall operational efficiency. The total price is $106,459.86. The purchase will be under the Omnia purchasing contract, and funds are available in the fiscal year 24-25 budget. IT Services recommend that vendor SHI Incorporated be awarded the contract. We further recommend that City Council approve the contract and that the appropriate city officials be authorized to execute all documents. Happy to answer any questions.
How many questions on this?
And we, and it's probably something that you guys experience, any major attacks or breaches or viruses sent into the city system?
Oh, yeah, they attempt all the time. They'll use the mayor
Yeah.
email address to phish, and you'll be surprised how many people still click. It's the mayor who doesn't want to respond, you know? So, yeah, we do, almost every day.
It is part of our world. Well, we just protected our water and electric, so now we'll try to protect our email and IT.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-356.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Baskin.
Thank you.
Next few items, we'll hear from Greg Venable, our Transportation Director, and we'll begin with item 2024-341 on a contract agreement, or a grant agreement with the NCDOT.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm not Mr. Venable.
Y'all do that to me about every time. Have to have a talk with the clerk.
Today, I'm here asking the council to execute an agreement with NCDOT for our annual Section 5303 Planning Grant Agreement. We use our funds in the amount of $81,378 from the feds and the state combined to help with our transit planning activities, everything from monitoring ridership, managing our safety programs, as well as working with our neighboring systems on our regional activities. It includes coverage for staff time as well as expenses for some of the software related to our planning activities. The city's match is $9,043 as included in our FY25 budget. Staff recommends that council approve the grant agreement with NCDOT and authorize the appropriate city officials to execute all necessary documents.
Anything? I'll make a motion for approval of item 2024-341.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Now who's going to speak?
It's my turn.
Oh,
You'd probably rather have Angela, but
now we'll hear from Greg
it's me
Venable.
now.
Item 2024-343.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is for the ratification of a purchase of property at 2613 Willow Dairy Road. This is currently an undeveloped piece of property that lies directly in front of the Penny Road, Willow Dairy Road intersection, and lies right in the path of what we call our Penny Road extension that's been on our comprehensive transportation plan since 2001. And this roadway will serve as an additional north-south connector to Eastchester. The thought is to provide another option going north that would take some of that traffic off of Eastchester. The property has been a barrier to past construction of the roadway. The sales for one parcel, it's 1 acre in size with a purchase price of $70,000. There was the appraised value of the property is $60,000. The property owner countered our offer. That was our original offer. She countered it at $70,000, which we accepted. Of course, acquiring this property will allow for future Penny Road extension, access to be located at the existing intersection of Penny Road and Willow Dairy Road. It will no longer be a hindrance to development. This is funded in the current year, 24-25 budget, and staff recommends that City Council ratify the purchase of 2613 Willow Dairy Road in the amount of $70,000. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
And the long-term plans for property around this or for what?
So it's all owned, held in by private development. So there has been some development out there. There's a developer currently looking at this property. So when we actually contacted the property owner, and she had several offers before, but evidently she told our real estate coordinator that she was waiting for the city to come. So she knew that the need at the time. So.
There's no further questions. I'll make make a motion to approve item 2024-343.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Next couple of items. I'm going to glance up from my paperwork, make sure I got this right. We'll hear from Tyler Berrier, our Electric Utilities Director, item 2024-344.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
The first item I've got is for security guard services at the Municipal Operations Center, right down the hill here at 816 East Green Drive. The electric department contracts with a private security firm to provide security guard services on off hours, so overnight and on weekends. Not only the electric benefits from this, but also the warehouse, safety and health, water sewer mains, and the street and stormwater departments are all there. Purchasing put out an RFP. We had 5 companies respond, and A&A Security Services was the selected firm for the amount of $126,921.60. And I can answer any questions you have.
Any comments or questions on this from?
Tyler, is this a one-year contract?
Yeah, this will be for 1 year. I believe the way the RFP was set up, it can be renewed for subsequent years, but there's a performance evaluation there. So if they're not performing, actually on the current contract, we did have to let go of a security guard for not performing their services. But yes, there is a performance measure to this.
Anything else? Hearing nothing, I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-344.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item is 2024-345.
So this is the procurement of a vegetation management solution. So what this is over the past year, Electric has been piloting a vegetation management program called AI-Dash. The system uses satellite imagery and a system scan to create a mitigation plan for our vegetation and tree-related outages. What this will do is be able to scan our system. We can input our budget, what's fed on what circuit, and it creates trim plans for us in multiple years, so we're using our money more wisely. A few years ago, I started taking a look at why we were having outages, and every year we capture all this data and it says trees, whatever, but what are we doing with that, you know? So it seemed like our approach was pretty reactive. So we piloted a couple, and this is the one we like to go with. It's a it's a program that can develop our trim plan. We can input our budget into it. It assigns the circus with a criticality score, and it'll tell us where we're going to get the most bang for our buck with our tree-related dollars. So that's what we're looking to accomplish here. This is a 3-year agreement with AI Dash for $61,000 per year.
So this is more along the lines, you mentioned the word tree a couple of times. This has to do more with that type of foliage than it does in, say, medians in the grass and stuff like that?
Yeah, this is all related to trees around electric lines. So we're trying to mitigate and prevent outages. So how it kind of works now is we have, we say we're on a 4 to 5 year trim cycle. But honestly, our data is pretty poor. So what we've done is input where we've been, how much money we've spent, how much time crews have spent there. And we can use this as a way to, a method of accountability for our tree contractors, and also we can input our budget into it, and it'll tell us, okay, if you've got this much money to spend, here's your best place to go for the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year. So that, but it is electric related only. It doesn't really have anything to do with mowing.
But this is a new, updated way of trying to be more efficient in this area.
That is correct.
And you'll be able to evaluate year after year to see how it's going.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And this one is a sole source because it integrates with our current outage management software, so that's why we did look at some others, but they didn't really have the compatibility with our current systems that this one did, so.
Yeah. Well, it relates to something that just has intrigued me lately, and weird things do to me sometimes, but y'all would be shocked at how much we spend in this country mowing medians and trimming trees, and it's north of $1 trillion countrywide. It's crazy. Anyway, another Britism.
I had to hear that yesterday, so anyway, it's all good.
If there's no other comments, I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-345.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, so for the next half hour, we'll hear from Kevin Rogers, our fleet director, and he'll start with item 2024-346.
Thank you very much. Well, first, this is City of High Point Purchasing Policies and Procedures Manual requires that fleet vehicles and other equipment sold via online auction be reported to the City Council on an annual basis. A listing of all items sold with descriptions and sale amounts are included with the item. The sale of the equipment for 23-24 generated $802,587.45 in proceeds for City of High Point, and I also listed the previous 4 years too. And I would like to acknowledge the receipt of report.
All right, looks like we're right in line. Any comments on this? I'll make a motion for approval of item 2024-346.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is 2024-347.
Okay, thank you. The Streets Division received funding in the 24-25 budget for an additional asphalt paver. Using Sourcewell contract pricing, Ascenda Machinery has a Leroy 8515E paver that will meet their needs. The price of $265,546.40 is for the paver delivery and training. Delivery is actually estimated to be less than 2 months. Funds are available in the 24-25 budget, and Fleet Service Department recommends purchasing the paver from Ascenda Machinery in the amount of $265,546.40.
Just curiosity, do they give you, how long's training on something like that?
Generally on this, it's really just a few hours. I mean, it's not that long or anything, but unless you, Robbie, where's Robbie?
They're similar aspects to the one we currently have. So
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-347.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item is 2024-348.
Okay. Well, again, the Streets Maintenance Division is currently utilizing John Deere tractors. The tractors have reached the end of their life due to escalating repair costs. Deere and Company has the John Deere 5090M utility tractor with side and rear flail mower attachments that will continue to meet their needs. The price of $245,148.62 is for 2 units. Delivery time is less than 365 days. Funds are available in the 24-25 budget. Fleet Service Department recommends purchasing the 2 John Deere tractors from Deere and Company for $245, $148.62. And also in this, we'd also like to declare the old tractors and mowing accessories as surplus and disposing through the online auction process.
Less than a year, huh? That's good.
Anything else? I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-348.
Second.
Thank you. And motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item, 2024-349.
Okay. The Water Main Division is currently using a Ford F-750 that needs replacing also for overall condition and repair costs. Piedmont Truck Center has a 2025 Ford F-750 that will meet their needs. Price of $110, $149.20 for the truck dump body, delivery and training. Delivery is estimated to be less than 365 days. Funds are available in the 24-25 budget. Fleet Services Department recommends purchasing the truck from Piedmont Truck Center for $110, $149.20 and declaring the current truck as surplus and disposing through the online auction process.
There's no comment. I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-349.
Second.
I think I just made a mistake there, Madam Clerk. I think I was going to make a motion to approve item 2024-350. Is it-
No, 349.
You said 349.
Oh, there's two. I see two. Okay. Then we'll go back. I make a motion to approve item 2024-349.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Now we'll go to 2024-350.
All right. The Streets and Stormwater Divisions are currently utilizing trucks. Again, need replacement due to age, condition, and operating hours. Piedmont Truck Center also has the Western Star 47X tandem dump truck with a Godwin body that will continue to meet their needs. The price of $463,824 is the cost for 2 trucks that need replacement. Delivery is estimated to be 280 to 365 days. Funds are available in the 24-25 budget. Fleet Services Department recommends purchasing the 2 tandem trucks from Piedmont Truck Center and also declaring the existing units as surplus and disposing through the online auction process.
I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-350.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much.
You did good. Next item, 2024-351, Public Services Director Robbie Stone.
Thank you. This is to replace the incline belt tray of the Serpentex conveyor of our solids building at the East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant. This is a sole source item, as Serpentex components are proprietary and patented. The scope of this project will be to replace the incline belt tray that collects the spray and dewatered solids. This being a sole source request, since Serpentex is the only manufacturer offered for this modular belt system here. We do have funds in our current budget for this, and we're recommending to award this to Serpentex in the amount of $36,790.80.
There's no comments on this item. I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-351.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item, 2024-352.
I think you may have.
I messed that up. I'm so sorry. I messed that up.
Oh,
So I think,
Yeah.
you.
You
I
just, he
I
flipped,
covered
he pulled that
352.
one up.
Yes, that's my fault.
All
Sorry
right.
about that.
Let's back up here. What we just heard was item 2024-352 for the
Yes, sir.
sole source purchase on the Serpentex conveyor, and that was Robbie's presentation, and I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-352.
second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Now let's go back, Robbie, to 2024-351 on the task order for jail engineering.
Yes, this is to enter into a contract with GL Engineering for annual air permitting assistance at the East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant. We do have a master agreement with this firm. This is part of our Title V permit for air emissions at the East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant. Includes a number of reporting requirements, the annual air compliance emissions and so forth. as required by the EPA under the monitoring plan. We do have funds available in this budget for this, and we're recommending to award this to GEL in the amount of $131,435.
There's no comments on this. I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-351.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Assistant Public Service Director Melinda King, and her item is 2024-353.
Yes, so this is for contracting with Precision Infrastructure Management. We have worked with them in the past, if you may recall, when we addressed the trip hazards in the Central Business District. They used a non-invasive method to deal with the trip hazards, and we finished with that last year. They brought a new technology to us which addresses ponding in curb and gutter areas, and so we have identified 11 sites that we would like to pilot to determine how this works for us. It's another non-destructive methodology to address the ponding and eliminate safety hazards for motorists and pedestrians. So we're asking you to approve this. Funding is available in the 2024-25 budget in the amount of $68,808.
Any comments or questions? Just a request. Let us know how it works.
We will.
I'll make a motion to
Certainly.
approve item 2024-353.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Next item is 2024-354. We'll hear from Ms. Nina Wilson, Community Development Director.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This is the 2024 Operation Inasmuch contract for our fall event. Staff request approval of the contract with Community Housing Solutions to fund materials and operational expenses associated with Operation Inasmuch for fall 2024. The upcoming event will be held on Saturday, November 2nd in the Highland Mills community. The fall event will be the 16th Operation Inasmuch event since May of 2016. Volunteers are utilized to complete home repairs, painting, and needed yard work. To date, there have been approximately 1,700 volunteers who have donated their time and energy to assist 194 households. The contract amount is $100,000, and there are sufficient funds in the fiscal year 24-25 budget for the expenditure. Community Development and Housing staff recommends approval of the Operation Inasmuch contract with Community Housing Solutions, and that the appropriate city official and/or employee be authorized to execute all necessary documents.
I think most people know the great work that we continue to try to do within Inasmuch, and the number of volunteers is pretty impressive. So thank you for your continued work. I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-354.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you.
Next item is 2024-355.
This is the budget amendment for the Home American Rescue Plan allocation that the city received. As a home participating jurisdiction, the City of High Point receives an annual allocation of home funds through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. Therefore, we have been awarded $1,988,359 in Home ARP funding. Staff has submitted the required Home ARP allocation plan, and the grant agreement has been executed. To address the need for homelessness assistance and supportive services, Congress appropriated $5 billion in ARP funds to be administered through the HOME program to perform 4 activities that must primarily benefit qualifying individuals and families who are homeless, at risk of homelessness, or are in other vulnerable populations. These activities include development and support of affordable housing, tenant-based rental assistance, provision of supportive services, and acquisition and development of non-congregate shelter units. A budget ordinance amendment appropriating the federal grant award is included with this item. The Community Development and Housing Department recommends that council accepts the grant award, approves the budget ordinance, and authorizes that the appropriate city official and/or employee execute all necessary documents.
If there's no comments on this item, I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-355.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Assistant City Manager Damon Duquesne on item 2024-375.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the committee. This item before you includes the adoption of 2 resolutions. At the special meeting before the last council meeting in August, staff gave a presentation on regional water resources. Part of that discussion was the city's membership in Piedmont Triad Regional Water Authority and 2 upcoming initiatives that the authority is undertaking. The first, well, there's no order, but one is advanced treatment upgrades to deal with PFAS, the forever chemicals that we've spoken about several times, and the other is a capacity upgrade. And then there's, of course, advanced treatment with that capacity upgrade as well. So the city is not participating in the capacity upgrade, but for our 19%, our 2 million gallons a day, we are participating in the upgraded treatment project. So as part of that, in order to fund those improvements, PTRWA, Piedmont Triad Regional Water Authority, is looking to issue bonds not to exceed $130 million to cover the most of those expenses. And in order to do that, each of the members has to adopt a resolution authorizing and approving the bond anticipation notes and approving an amended and restated agreement. That's one. And then the other is they must pass a resolution acknowledging our obligations under the 2024 note, which essentially says the city will hold up its end of the bargain and pay our portion. While these resolutions don't have a direct financial impact today, we have included a budget impact in the item for you. Just to give you a heads up that I mentioned again last month was the city's portion of the upgraded treatment is approximately estimated right now about $16 million. 30-year bond payments on that amount are going to be just over $1 million a year estimated currently. And what that equates to is what staff would recommend is probably a 2% rate increase to cover that expense, moving forward for that infrastructure. That would be in addition to what our annual budget recommendation would be as well. So while these numbers are not firm today, those will all come out later. That's why we don't have a firm budget, statement for you or a solid recommendation on how we would handle it. But just to be sure that everyone is clear, these are the real costs coming towards us, and they're the best estimate we have at this time. Be happy to answer any questions.
We did get briefed on this, and for anyone that may be listening, this is a tough pill to swallow, but it's one that's coming down the road for all of us, and it's not just High Point. These forever chemicals that have been declared and the water cleaning and all that's got to go with that, they come with a hefty price tag. And I know how this works, and I know when the next budget comes around that a lot of this will be forgotten. But let's state it as loudly as we can and clearly as we can right now. There is an increase coming that we don't have any choice but to absorb. And it's coming from the federal down. So keep your eyes open on this. There'll be a lot more news, I'm sure. But I know staff is going to do everything that they can to keep our part of it in best management and fiscal responsibility that we can. Any other comments on this? I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-375.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Damon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next item, 2024-358, Assistant City Manager Eric Almedo.
Thank you, sir. The Ferguson Group has been the city's federal lobbyist for a number of years, and they've been a partner in our success in receiving federal funds for local projects. We would like to continue with them for another year, so we're asking that you approve an agreement with the Ferguson Group LLC in an amount not to exceed $93,200, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Comments, questions on this?
My only comment is the Ferguson Group has done an amazing job for High Point.
Yeah, they really have, for those of us that have been able to be here a minute and to work alongside of them. They've advocated and done good things for the city, so. Any?
Second.
There's a motion and a second for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Eric. The next, I got you for another one. Next item is 2024-369.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The former Deputy City Manager Randy McCaslin is is finishing out his second term on the Electricity's Board of Directors, and he is not able to continue with that role, so we are asking to be able to submit a nomination for City Manager Tasha Logan Ford to a nomination for her to serve on the Electricity's Board of Directors in a weighted voting seat, and we would ask that council support this nomination to Electricities. Happy to answer any questions.
So Randy's finishing his second three-year term?
Second three-year term, yes, sir.
Okay. And this is a paid position?
There is an ability to have a compensation. I believe there's a compensation of $1,000 a month.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on this item?
Just a huge thank you to Randy McCaslin for his service.
Yeah, Randy served our city in his city. He was born here. So he served our city for a long time, and I feel like it's very important to have local representation on that one, not only because we're a member, but the largest member. So I will make a motion to approve item 2024-369.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. The final item is 2024-360, and we'll hear from Stephen Howerlich, our Budget and Performance Director. Hey,
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm doing well. This item is a consideration of funding for outside nonprofit organizations through the annual application process. The Finance Committee is responsible for reviewing the applications and then making funding allocation recommendations to the full council for their consideration. For this fiscal year, FY 24-25, the city received 59 applications totaling $2,294,220. Historically, the budget has allocated the equivalent of 1/3 of 1 penny on the tax rate toward these organizations. For the current fiscal year, that is just a little over $454,000.
Okay. This outside agency funding, something that I've been doing a little bit of research the best we could, but we've been doing it in this city and most every other major city, but in High Point from at least the early 90s. So it is part of something that we do, and hopefully the return on the investment of these dollars is the benefit of the nonprofits that are doing work in our city on behalf of those that have need for the services they're trying to provide. It's never an easy process, and as you can see, the ask are substantial, and then what's given is substantial, but it doesn't come close to what the ask is. But anyway, we have gone through as part of the annual process, and we've accepted our applications from these nonprofit organizations requesting these city funds to be used for public purposes. And over the past several weeks, the members of Finance Committee have independently been working and reviewing these applications, considering how to best allocate these city funds for permissible public purpose and in the nonprofit community, and making our recommendations. And after that process, which has been several weeks, we've compiled those recommendations into the Finance Committee's recommended list, and I would like to make a motion to recommend the approval of the Finance Committee's list for grants to nonprofit organizations for the fiscal year 24-25.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
If there's no further discussion, please, go ahead, Michael.
Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I think you said something that is really poignant about the work that we do with our nonprofit organizations. The demand far outweighs the supply of funds that we have. And so when we think about the increased demand that we have from our nonprofit sector for funding, we see that we're not able to always fund very worthy nonprofits in the work that they do. But we do notice that there also is some duplication that we have amongst those who are requesting. So we think in terms of getting a greater impact, if we could ask the nonprofit community to collaborate within your area of expertise with other nonprofits, we could use the funds to a greater impact. And so, I hope to call together our nonprofit community in the next few months for us to be able to sit down to talk about efficiencies and collaboration opportunities, so that as we go into the funding cycle for next year, we can have a better use and appropriation of these funds for greater impact. And so hopefully the community will be responsive to that call, because we know that there's great work to be done, but we can't fund every single individual nonprofit to the level that they're necessary. And so we do believe that if there's some collaboration efforts, we can make the greatest impact in our community if you're willing to work together.
Thank you, Michael. Anything else? Okay, there has been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes, sir, Stephen?
Just FYI, due to potential recusals on Monday evening, this item will have to be on the general agenda for Monday night.
Okay. All right. Where was it? All in favor?
Yeah, aye.
We did that.
We,
Okay. All right. Well, you got anything else to say, Stephen? Okay. Motion passes. All right. I have nothing else on the agenda. Does anybody else have anything to say? There's a lot going on. I think the Fox, the Carolina Corps Foxes are in town this weekend. They got a couple more games maybe over the next week. The Rockers are out of town, I think in New York, but they're still in the playoff hunt if a couple things happen good and they win.
Yeah.
So, what am I missing? Anything?
Mr. Chair, I do have that information for you if you want me to give it to you. Otherwise, I can email it to you.
sure. Okay.
This is in.
Since we're live, introduce yourself, please.
My name is Kyle Thaggart. I'm the telecommunications manager for the 911 Center. This is in regards to your inquiry for the motivations in regards to our retention rates. In 2017, our retention rate was 90%, with 3 members leaving. These were experienced employees who left for any reason. 2018, we had a 93% retention rate with 2 people leaving for any reason. 2019, we had an 89% retention rate. This was 1 person that failed to complete the training program and 2 that left for any reason. In 2020, we actually had a 100% retention rate. Nobody left. Following 2020 and 2021, we had an 84% retention rate with 4 experienced employees leaving for any reason. In 2022, we had a 68% retention rate. 2 people did not complete training, and 6 employees left for any reason. In 2023, we had a 77% retention rate with 3 employees that did not make it through training and 3 employees that left for any reason. And currently in 2024, we are at a 89% retention rate with 3 employees that did not make it through training.
Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's a very intense job. Very intense job. Well, if there's nothing else, I did want to mention, if y'all didn't notice, the room's a little bit brighter and glowing a little better, and we want to welcome back new mom, Noelle, and congratulate you, and excited for you and your new baby girl. If there's nothing else, we're adjourned.